Hello, Americans. Welcome to the Expendable Show. I'm your host, the Expendable. Sorry for the lack of energy. I'm still struggling with this whole Trump being assassinated thing or attempted assassination. Um, there's a lot of information that comes out. It's almost like every 10 minutes we hear something else. Um, But first, I want to take the time to send thoughts and prayers out to the one victim that his life was taken during the Trump rally. His name was Corey Campertor. Um, I know I butchered that, and I apologize. I've been watching the news; they've been butchering his name. He's got a really long name. But so when you actually read the story of how his last moments were, they're actually, pretty miraculous. The man died a hero. He was a firefighter in Buffalo, New York. Um, he was excited to be there to see Trump, and when the gunshots started, he grabbed his wife and daughter and held them on the ground and covered them, and he ended up taking a fatal shot. Um, so I think taking the time to honor somebody like that is always a good thing. He died, attending a presidential rally, and I know President Trump has said some very nice things about him, and but you can't bring him back. And I read some information that his daughter put out there, and it was pretty touching. And I feel bad because she's not gonna have a father anymore because of a selfless act. So going down, for those of you who don't know, that maybe you live in a cave, uh, maybe off the coast of California in the homeless caves. Um, but the shooter's name is Thomas Matthew Crooks. So they're starting to, as the day's gone on today, they've been going through and digging through his life and trying to figure out, what kind of kid was this? That I saw an interview where they talked to one of his old classmates from high school. They said he was a loner, he was bullied. It's typical story that you hear out of every shooter. This isn't the profile's not different. Same old, same old. Um, so as we go, I'm gonna kind of develop my theory on that. So on Instagram, we found his Instagram. He identifies as a national socialist. When looks like when he graduated high school and he registered to vote, he registered as a Republican, but at some point, the kid was only 20 years old. Um, so he was 20 years old, registered as a Republican. Sometime pretty quick, he switched over and started donating to the Act Blue. Um, Basically, it's like can't it's like a non-government organization that is more grassroots. They take in small donor donations and then they disperse them to whatever. Well, he was donating to that, and he specifically wanted his earmark to the progressive movement. So that tells me he went from Republican and then switched over to like the far left, which is odd. Usually you don't see that happen. So I'm wondering if something happened there that caused him to change. In that very short amount of time, I'm guessing he probably, if he registered as a Republican, I'm guessing his family is probably Republican. They interviewed this kid's parents, and like they're stunned. They don't understand how this happened and all this. They seem to be pretty decent people. But something was going on with their son. They missed the signs. And just like every other shooter, we all ignore the signs, and then bad things happen, and then we sit around and we go, "How did this happen?" So we need to understand that moving forward. And it's just like my podcast from a couple podcasts ago. When people are hurting, we need to take the time to talk to these people. I know I shouldn't sit here and try to justify anything for this young man, because his act wounded three Americans and killed one. However, for future reference, we need to start paying attention to these things. When you see people that aren't quite, clicking right, and their behaviors are getting more aggressive, um, or even if they're getting into a depressive mode, because sometimes when people get backed into a corner, they'll get depressed and then they'll lash out. So we have to take the time to understand and watch out for these types of scenarios, and if maybe one little act of kindness will deter someone from doing something like this. So that's basically what we know about this guy so far. That he was bullied. He kind of an outcast kid. And then he, for whatever reason, decided he was going to try to shoot Donald Trump. That theory or whatever is not quite been developed yet by anybody. Nobody on the news or anything, any of the news outlets are really talking about that yet. However, I do have a source in the Department of Homeland Security that forwarded me over a bunch of information today. The guy is dead. I saw the dead body pictures. So they got him. He is unalive very well. Whichever sniper shot him, they got him. Which you're not going to see those pictures on the news. Obviously, they're pretty graphic. I'm going to talk about this later. So what I want to do is go through the scenario of what happened, because as I've got to, kind of see the setup of everything and seeing who was where and how it all happened. And I've watched the video probably 200 times, maybe more. So the Thomas Matthew Crooks used an AR-15. So let's just get this out of the way right away. It's not the AR-15 that shot Donald Trump. It was the crazy lunatic that was holding the AR-15. So there you go. I'm going to throw that out there right now. Let's not go and try to ban all AR-15s again. Sane people, somebody who's sane is not going to shoot a president with an AR-15. Facts. It's pretty factual. So the kid climbs up on top of a building. They said it's about a football field away. So we're looking at about 300 feet, 100 feet, maybe 120 feet. So this shot for an experienced sniper would have been a slam dunk. It would have been a layup. It wouldn't have taken long. He would have got the job done. One shot, one kill. However, the inexperience of the shooter most likely caused him to misfire. It looks like he shot off to Trump's. It would have been Trump's right, his left. So there was definitely a lack of experience in marksmanship with this young man. Luckily, I have a lot of issues with the Secret Service part of this. For one, when you're a spotter, when you're in the Secret Service and you're one of the most highly trained individuals in the world, and you have one fucking job, and that's to protect the United States president and any other diplomats, former presidents' families, you're damn good at what you do. That's why you're selected, because you're elite. You're elite of the elites. So when I'm sitting here looking at this, and he did it from a rooftop, so he was at a high point, but they said that the high point was not that high. So when you're looking at the positioning of the the counter sniper team, he was only a football field away. These guys are trained to spot other shooters. There's no way that this kid escaped the perimeter. There's no way. Either their perimeter was too small, or there was just neglect from the spotters, or God forbid, I hope this isn't the case, but I'm leaning this way. I'm not going to lie. That my theory is that perhaps they allowed it. I hope that's not the case. I hope I'm wrong, but seeing how everything has added up, I feel like that's a probable scenario. I did look at a video footage that was sent to me this morning that suggests that as well, coming from the angle of the spotter while they're watching the shooter shoot. And then he lets him get off a few rounds, and then he takes the shot. So I feel like there's a situation there. Um, Whether it's just a delayed reaction from the counter sniper team, I hope that's what it is. Even if that's the case, that officer should be removed from his position. That's uncalled for. You don't get paid for that. You get paid to act, not think. You don't have time to think in those situations. So to me, the perimeter was a huge failure. So I was watching an interview with Dan Bongino this morning, and he said much of the same. He said the perimeter was a failure. He thought the agents that got to Trump were a little slow. I think the way that they did it was okay. I thought they got there in good time, but I thought that the way that they transported him across the stage was sloppy. They let him have too much open skin. There were only few times where the agents would put their arms up over the president's head. So I thought that the extraction off the stage was sloppy. I wasn't really impressed with that too much. Luckily, there weren't two shooters, which they didn't know that at that time. They got the all clear. They were on the ground, got the all clear that the shooter was disabled, and then they decided to move Trump. Where if there were two shooters, Trump would have got shot again. So I'm not very impressed with how the Secret Service handled that. Then come to find out that there were limited resources of the Secret Service at the event, which they're still arguing over. So the director of the Secret Service is a woman named Kimberly Cheadle. And as we dig into her background, she seems to be a super scumbag. She's very, very political. She should not be in her position. I don't know how this slipped through the cracks and how no one questioned her in this position. She is not qualified to do this job as director of the Secret Service. She should be removed, resign immediately. Like, it's already too long. They should have removed her already. What is it, Joe Biden? What are you doing? Like, get this woman out of here. She's very left, super left. So that goes back to my theory that perhaps this wasn't quite the scenario that it looked on TV, where it was just a lone wolf shooter. I feel like they let him get off too many rounds before there was, counter rounds. So I have an issue with that, and I certainly hope that there is an actual real investigation into this, because if Biden's team is on it, we're not going to get any real answers. Hopefully the oversight happens and they can drag this investigation out until Trump becomes president, and then we can get the real answers. But the Secret Service director needs to be removed immediately. I don't understand why she's still there. She should have been gone. But that's the Biden administration. Nobody's held accountable for their mistakes. And on top of that, I think it's safe to say that, everything that Joe Biden has his hands on turns into a giant failure. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed that, but that's what I've added up. I haven't really seen him do anything successful when it comes to ops. All of the ops that are under his direction are huge failures. This guy, Joe Biden, needs to not be president anymore. If this was, Robert Kennedy Jr., which that's a whole other question, because he has zero. Joe Biden will not give him any Secret Service detail. And, this has to be a traumatic event for Robert Kennedy Jr. to see this happen to Donald Trump. I would not go out of my house if I was Robert Kennedy Jr. No way. So as this, occurred, and Trump was hit in the ear and he went down, the Secret Service did what they did. And, the snipers took out the target. Trump gets up and then defiantly defiantly and has his moment that we're seeing all over the place. It's everywhere. Um, I've even seen somebody Photoshop Trump's head and put it on 50 Cent's body and started playing Many Men in the background. If those of you don't know that song, go listen to it. It's funny. It makes sense with what happened. So it's this moment in history has been captured, and it will be. I feel like if there's a turning point from this to that changes things, this is it. I'm seeing so many liberals or like moderate Democrats. I don't want to say liberals because there's two different types of liberals. There's the moderate Democrats, and then there's the psychos on the far left. So when you're a moderate, that you're starting to see a sympathizing with Trump. I've seen it all over X. And the liberals do what liberals do. They play the I'm scared of retaliation card. And so they're trying to run and hide, in case somebody retaliates. The victim card's really old. Society needs to. We all need to stop like playing the victim card. We're all Americans. We were all raised right. Well, most of us. But the victim card don't work. It makes you look like you're slime, and especially if that's the only card you play. So personally, I just want to throw that out there. I may or may not know someone who always plays the victim card. So be stronger than that. That's what I'm saying. So the latest is that the FBI is treating this like a domestic terrorist investigation. So that's refreshing to see. Hopefully, Christopher Wray doesn't allow his politics to jump involved with that and butcher this whole thing up. This should be investigated as a domestic terrorist situation, and from what I'm hearing, it is. So I'm okay with that. They need to dig into this kid, find out. He got the gun from his dad. His dad is the owner of the AR-15. So we know that where the gun came from. So when we're tracing this backwards, the things that I'm looking for, that I'm wanting to see, is his contacts. So when he's in, somebody knew he was going to do this. No, a 20-year-old kid isn't going to go into a situation like this and know exactly where the weak spot's at, climb a building with an AR-15 in a mass event with people everywhere, and know exactly where to be to get a clear shot at President Trump. So somebody has been guiding him. So when they go backwards, they need to go through his phone, his social medias, all these things to find out who is he in contact with. So when we look at this guy, he identifies as a National Socialist. He's donated to the progressive movement. So that's where I would start. He seems to be on the communist socialist network of scumbags in this country that need to get the fuck up out of here. They need to round them all up. Domestic terrorists. Antifa, fuck you. Domestic terrorists. You're a domestic terrorist now. I don't care what you say. We're just an ideal. You're not an ideal. You guys are a bunch of bitches that run around trying to play tough. You ain't tough. You ain't tough at shit. Got kindergarten class that beat your ass. But anyway, they need to go round up all these people. Like, playtime's over. Things are escalating. You're getting these lone wolves that are getting brave. I don't think he's a lone wolf. I think he's you just shut up and do what you're told. Take the shot. I think someone has allowed this to happen. But that's my theory. This is a hypothetical scenario. This isn't a factual anything. This is just me thinking. So for all you dumbasses out there that like to sue people, this is not factual. It's my theory. What do they say? For entertainment purposes only. But we do need to pay attention to this, and I'm going to be paying close attention to it as the week goes. As I'm sure every day we're going to be provided with a little bit more information. I've also been in contact with a source that is in another country that pays very close attention to government things. Um, and in that country, they believe that Biden is not involved, but that's initial um, information out of them. We won't really know. Personally, I really don't think Biden. If this is an inside job, I don't think Biden is directly involved because they want him out too. I believe that he is just as at risk as Trump. They may not try to kill him because all they got to do is run the 25th on him and they can get him out. It'll be easy. But initiating the 25th Amendment is going to be not a slam dunk, I don't think, because there are some Biden supporters that in Congress that will vote against the 25th. So I think they've probably done their math and they don't think they get the 25th invoked. It poses several problems for Biden if the 25th is invoked. If it comes back that he is competent, then he still can stand trial for his classified documents situation because it's contradictory to the Her report, which I don't really give a shit about that right now. I'd rather figure out who's trying to kill my president, what organization, who's involved. Is this a China thing? The initial reports was this could potentially have been a China situation, but that proved to be wrong, which is why I didn't speak on it because I thought, man, that's kind of a stretch. And it's a stretch. I don't think China has the balls to really take a shot at us like that. I think that would be catastrophic to the advancement of their society in a nice way. So we need to, get to the bottom of this. I think we're going to get maybe 40% of the answers, and then the rest of the answers are going to be classified or they'll be brushed under the rug. That's my opinion on it. I don't think we're ever going to get the whole story, but they also found explosives in this dude's car. So that's a whole other thing. Like, did this guy, was he properly trained how to make explosives? How did this guy, 20-year-old kid, how to learn how to do explosives? Did somebody teach him, or is he just a anarchist cookbook guru? How did this happen? There's a lot of questions that have to come out yet, and hopefully the FBI reports and they'll be honest with us and tell us exactly how this happened. Luckily the shooter's dead. However, I kind of wish he wasn't. I think we can get a lot of answers out of a dumbass 20-year-old. Especially if he's looking at the death penalty or whatever for killing the firefighter. Could be a problem. Joe Biden has some problems with this. He can't. His agencies are failing left and right. That he can't successfully do anything. The policies are bad. Like, his border sucks. Still, his generals are too woke, and the Secret Service isn't sharp. This is an agency that we should be able to depend upon without question. And now we have to question it. The Secret Service is not up to par. Dan Bongino said so. I saw another former Secret Service agent on X. He said the same thing. He said, this ain't my Secret Service. And we got a problem. We've become too lax. And it's because of DEI, advanced progressive liberal ideologies, is softening our country. Hell, I was just told at work to play grab ass with all the employees to keep them happy. I'm not doing that. Our society's too soft. Too soft. We need to fix that. Where are the adults in the room anymore? We got a bunch of kids. Kids are running the country. and that's not appropriate. So my solution would be to go through this kid's life, find a network of people that are involved with him, and round them all up. Somebody's going to rat on something if it's not an inside job. If it's an inside job, we're never going to know who did what. My theory is, seeing the small paper trail that they've allowed us to see going to Act Blue, I'd be willing to bet that there is a Soros dollar involved somewhere. They do coordinate with Act Blue a little bit, the Open Society Foundation, which is George Soros's foundation that he's passed on to his son Alex. And Alex Soros, has made a promise that he would end conservatism. So there's a lot of left wingers that have made a lot of very bold statements out there. Joe Biden himself, Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. Kamala Harris said we cannot allow him to sit in the Oval Office. It's just over and over and over. Then you get guys like on Twitter, like Joe Walsh, who's supposed to be a Republican, but he's obviously a Nazi. But he gets on there every day and says how much Trump is a threat to democracy and all this. But then as soon as this happened, he gets on and he's like, we all need to, stop the rhetoric. Like, man, you're part of the rhetoric, you dumbass. These people, that's what I'm trying to say. That there's a lot of hypocrisy out there. And if we're not going to tone down the rhetoric, we don't really need the rhetoric toned down. We need the Department of Justice and every acronym agency to do their fucking job. Figure out who the shitbags are and get them locked up. It's really not that hard. So we have a lot of issues. Things need to start happening. I'd add, I just got your text message, but everybody just pay attention and see what's going to happen in the next few days. The Republican National Convention is supposed to start on the 15th, which is tomorrow, for 3 or 4 days, and that the plans have not changed. Donald Trump is still planning on announcing his vice president pick, which that person already has the speaking part scheduled in there. So we absolutely will know who Donald Trump's running mate is. I'm excited for that. I hope it's Byron Donalds. That's my guy. And I think that would be a strong candidate right now. We'll see if anybody's backed out. If anybody's like, man, I'm not going to get shot at. Sorry. But I don't think that's the case. I think whoever Donald Trump picks, they're going to stand up there valiantly with him and lead this country to greatness. So, going out, me and my dad talked about this, and I've talked about it with a couple other people too. So there's a prophecy that the evangelicals, put out several years ago that God would send a wolf that would devour the other wolves. And to me, we all have heard so many prophecies over the years, and like how many of them actually came true? There's a lot of false prophets out there. But this one just feels like it's just starting to pan out. I'm not going to, jump off of the ledge and say, hey, this is the prophecy. This is the one. But man, is it making sense? They said that God would send a leader that would fight the pack. And they are dead certain it's Donald Trump. And man, if there was ever divine intervention, that's what happened yesterday. I truly believe that God protected him from bullets. There's no way that's a slam dunk shot. And I think even an inexperienced shooter would hit that. Divine intervention is my only answer as to how Donald Trump is still alive. Not the Secret Service, not luck. because I think Donald Trump stood still long enough to get shot. After watching the video over and over and over again, a lot of people were saying, well, he ducked. I didn't see a duck. He was standing still, staring off to his right. And I think no matter what, he could have been hit. And the shooter missed and luckily just clipped an ear. And we still have our president. But we did lose a true American patriot, and two others in the crowd were injured. But it sounds like they're going to recover. They were just talking about that a little bit ago on the news. Sounds like the other two are going to recover and are going to be fine. So prayers out there for the family of the fallen firefighter. Prayers for the Trump family. Prayers for the families and the two gentlemen that were shot that are going to survive. I think we have. I hope this is the end of it. I hope this is the end of the bad. But I feel like it's not. I feel like there's more to come. And don't call me a prophet or anything, but I feel like whoever's pulling these strings, they ain't done, because Donald Trump's still standing. So we all need to be prepared. Be prepared for something. We all knew there would be an attempt. I think pretty much every conservative I've ever talked to in the last year says they're going to try to kill him, and they tried. And we could be in for a wild ride until November. So everybody buckle up. And this is going to be a little short today. We didn't have Shauna in studio today. She was doing kids stuff today. So we will come back on Wednesday. I will be taking a lot of notes, and hopefully we will have a lot of answers and be able to kind of put this puzzle together. So everybody, be safe out there. Know your surroundings, especially now. It could get a little crazy out there. Everybody pay attention. Stay out of large groups. Know where your kids are at. It's dangerous out there. So I will see you all on Wednesday, and God bless everybody.